Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the AEW Dynamite and Kyleision Modcast review. Thank you very much for joining us. We're a little bit late in the schedule because, some of us have lives, apparently. This is a new concept to me, but Dory threw a spanner in the works this week. She couldn't record on Thursday, so we're just going to merge the two into one, as we sometimes do, and go for it. I'm Adam, blonde, as some of you may know me. I'm joined, as I always am, by Dory. Please introduce yourself to the faithful again.
Hello, I'm Dory. Excited to talk about Kota Ibushi being an absolute himbo, plus
Fuck yeah.
Kyleision, and also how excited I am about a certain thing that happened on Collision that I fantasy booked weeks ago on this very show. So just give it up to me. I'm amazing.
He's going to be incredibly smug. Even more so than normal, which,
That's
is...
right.
I didn't think it was possible, but, we find ourselves in
But here
strange
we are.
situations every day. But yes, let's get into this straight away. We'll start at the top of Dynamite. Started off quite hot. What did you think, by the way, before we get into this? What did you think of the crowd? I know we're a few days removed now. If you can cast your mind back, what did you think? 'Cause,
Yeah.
I have
So if I
I have a
if
couple of
I
thoughts.
Yeah, if I Google cast my mind back a few days, I think about just how hot the crowd was. I mean, they were so good that even Collision felt like kind of like Dynamite at times, just how hot they were. I mean, especially the Kyle match, which we'll talk about. That'll be honestly most of our time where we talk about Collision or Kyleision. But yeah, they were really hot for most of the night. I was really impressed. So Tony, make him come back here.
I was impressed because this wasn't, not to get into any of the discourse surrounding ticket sales or whatever. This wasn't the biggest crowd. I think it was probably about 2,200, give or take. So not the biggest crowd, but they sounded really good most of the
Yes.
night. So props to them. I've seen. I'll bang this drum until the cows come home. I've seen crowds of astronomical proportions, and you can hear a pin drop. So the size of the crowd doesn't matter to me. It's whether they are coming across as an enhancing force in my wrestling, and this
There you
crowd did
go.
that. So props to
You know,
them.
everybody take note that Adam doesn't care how big it is. He cares how much they come and how hot and whether it's enhanced or not. So everybody just take a note of that.
I feel like that's a very progressive stance. I'm sorry,
He's gonna stand on business about that one.
yeah. Apparently, function over form is I don't know, woke nonsense now. What do I fucking know?
I'm just imagining that fucking the image of John Moxley being like utter woke nonsense.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, we'll get to him.
yep.
Um, but this show started off really hot. We had, where in the world is Carmen San Diego coming from the backstage. I love this new look for Tony, by the way. I
Yes.
I thought it was going to be a temporary thing, but she's done it a couple of weeks in a row now, and now I'm just thinking, yeah,
Did
fucking
you
run with
did
it.
Did you? Well, actually, I guess you're too young. But I watched the Where in the World is Carmen San Diego show back in the '90s, and I absolutely loved it. I don't couldn't tell you anything about it except for the title and just like some of the little skits they did for it. But for me, this is like super nostalgic, and I just
It
like what a grab for Tony to do. She's also kind of doing a Dick Tracy homage, being kind of like a detective.
mm,
So she's kind of like merging those two characters, and I love it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I was too young, obviously, to watch it as it aired, but we would get reruns. Blah, 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 blah. We would get reruns of it on like a children's show that I would watch as a kid, so I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
Um, so as soon as I saw it, I clocked the costume that she was going for, and I was like, this is phenomenal. And then she keeps doing it, and I'm like, perfect, no notes, keep doing your stuff. But as she's walking to the ring, kick off Dynamite. I forget what she was saying. She was saying something, but it
She's
it, it
basically
really does.
talking about how Mercedes is going to have to kill her to take the title.
Of
And
course.
Monet decided to oblige.
Yeah, as if on cue, Mercedes Monet comes out and fucking lays into her. Like,
Yeah.
fair play. Um, she. I think she grabs a mic from like a stagehand or something, and then just hits the stagehand. Which
I
watch out,
missed that part. That's amazing.
watch out,
I was, yeah.
watch out, Mercedes. In 2 years, that could end up costing you a lot of money.
or their son or daughter is going to end up helping giving you a title.
But such a fucking weird situation,
So
honest to
fucking
God.
weird.
But what do I know? I don't speak legalese or American suing culture, so
Right.
you know. But uh, I do like that AEW has officially codified the sort of quasi relationship between Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa, because Mina did come out to sort of run off Mercedes, which led to Tony Khan booking um, for next Wednesday Mina Shirakawa versus Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. We will briefly talk about that. I don't think there's anything else to say about this segment. Good stuff to kick off the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it all worked for me. It was nice to see the women at the beginning of the show. I think I can count on one or two hands how many times that happens per year. So I always appreciate seeing that. And I'm really excited for their match.
Definitely. I'm intrigued, by the way. I said we'll talk about it. What do you think happens next week? Do you think that there's a
So
world?
I
You know,
did think that at first that maybe Tony would interfere and cost Mercedes her title. That way we don't do the silly thing, Tony Khan, of putting I gotta get my Tony's clear here. Tony Khan of putting both titles on Mercedes, especially when she already has so many titles, which again she deserves and should have. I just don't want her to have the mid card and the upper card title of one promotion on her belt, the waist, shoulders,
What
whatever.
what I would say is, just briefly to interject,
Right.
if if Mina wins the TBS title next week, Mercedes is 110% winning in Texas.
Yes.
It would, the argument I've seen against it, and I've seen quite a few arguments against it. Like, do you want to waste Mercedes's winning streak? On like a random, not a random dynamite, but you get what I mean. Do you want to do it
Yeah.
like that through interference or whatever? But the most compelling I've seen is that it absolutely choreographs it telegraphs the finish, the result in Texas,
Sure.
because there's absolutely no way that Mercedes would lose twice in a row like that.
Yeah. I mean I agree with you. I don't think they would do it twice in a row either. I don't Now here's the catch here. Mina told Tony to promise her that she would not interfere, that Tony would not interfere in Mina's match. So that makes me think that Mercedes is winning. Now, Mercedes has already beaten Mina for the Rev Pro women's title, right? And in Japan. So
Mm.
I would think that this would make them 1-1, but also, I mean, Mina's not above putting people over, least of all Mercedes, right? So I don't think
Yeah.
it's not like it would hurt Mina anyway.
No, Mina is enough of a star that she can just lose sometimes, and she just even if you just beat her and beat her and beat her just by sort of sheer charisma and even association, with like Tony Storm and Mercedes and stuff like that, she will still be a force in the women's division, because, and also worth mentioning, she's a phenomenal wrestler. That helps.
Yeah, she is
Um,
legitimately. I know everybody jokes about her live show charisma, but she is legitimately a great wrestler in all things technical wrestling. Yeah, she is legitimately a great wrestler, and she'll be fine even if she loses to Mercedes again. I think maybe Mercedes will beat her. I think the best Mina can hope for is that Mercedes cheats, but I doubt Mercedes will even need to do that. So yeah, either way, now that they've said that on Collision or Kyleision, I don't think Mina is winning. I would like Mina to win, and I honestly don't care that it would telegraph who is winning on All In, because to me, I just don't care about stuff. I mean, like I do, like unpredictability is a secret sauce in wrestling, as Simon Miller would say. But at the same time, it's like it's not the be all end all. Like even if I know the result, like I can still find some enjoyment out of it. And
yeah.
to me, Mercedes not getting both those titles is worth like losing that predictability. But I also understand like people wanting her to keep her streak. It's also Mercedes' 1000th match. I doubt she would lose her 1000th match. Maybe her 1001st match, but that's another story.
101 matches to lose before you die.
That's
Anyway,
right.
yeah. So I'm intrigued as to what they will do next week. I will be watching very intently. But the show sort of the matches portion of the show, as Dynamite is known for, sort of kicked off with Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, the EVPs, although we will get to that in a moment, announcing that Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland have a tag team match today. It's supposed to be in like over an hour, in the second hour of the show, but we're going to move that up. It's right now. I thought this was brilliant. I thought this was absolutely hilarious because they cue Osprey's music immediately, and Osprey doesn't come out, as he would normally do, on like on the beat of Elevated and stuff. No, the music just plays and everyone's sort of looking, and just at the moment where you think it's sort of getting a bit sort of awkward, Osprey runs out, frantically putting on his gear. I thought this was really, really well done.
Yeah, I did too. I really liked the idea that they weren't ready at all and they super committed to it. And it was just a nice little bit of flavor to a really cool idea from our extremely violent people, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. So I thought it was executed very well.
I agree. I very much agree. And then Swerve comes out. He's had a bit more time to prepare. He still has, like, I think his boot was hanging off or something, but he's far more prepared than Will. And they faced Lee Johnson and Blake Christian. I saw someone online, by the way, when they announced that Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland would be in action. They didn't announce an opponent. I saw someone online immediately go, "Yeah, that's going to be Blake Christian," and everyone was like, "What do you mean?" And they were just like, "Well, Tony absolutely loves him for that sort of spot."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and
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 I
they
mean,
were right.
as he should, he's Vanilla Baby. So
Yeah, but he is very much the sort of guy, and sort of stealthily over the course of 2025, he has been established as the sort of guy that you can just put on Dynamite and he will have a really good match. Impressive, the sort of the solidification of Blake Christian as a solid hand in the AEW sort of TV roster. I think he's impressed me. And in this match, he impressed me as well because some of the things he was doing, I still don't understand how he can do. He does this like sort of tope through the ropes, but he sort of pivots in midair, ends up hitting what looks like a moonsault, and then lands on his feet. How the fuck does he do that?
crazy. Yeah, he's got freakish moves. It's just crazy what he can do, and I kind of wish they had put him on Dynamite sooner. But I'm glad that they're doing it now. He's such a great heel. He's done great stuff on the Indies with it, and I'm glad he's bringing it finally bringing it to AEW. Him as a face was fun as All Heart, and people were into him. But I think he's a better heel. He's just got a really good cockiness to him, and yeah, I mean, he's eventually he'll get that song. I believe in Tony Khan. He'll do it, and it'll be amazing, and it'll beat Bandito for the world title. So it'll be great.
Oh, bold choice. Okay. I don't.
I tried to pick the boldest, but still most realistic thing I could think of.
I don't know. I
But
don't know who's beating Bandito for that world title,
I
but
don't
I hope
either.
it's
It's
not
not
anytime soon.
Takesha, unfortunately, but
No. Oh,
that'll
I
be a
have a
great.
pick. I have a pick.
Yeah.
Rumble. Bad man. Rumble.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see Shane Taylor take that. I think has he been world champion before? I feel like he has been. Back when
Good
Shane
question.
Taylor Promotions were really dominating ROH. I know that they had the tag title, and I think they had the trios title too back when that was a thing on ROH. I guess it's technically a
Um,
thing now, but not
he
really.
was world television champion, but he wasn't world champion. We
Okay,
should
that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I think he held the TV title while his two tag partners held the tag titles, but Either way, I'd love that. I hope it happens maybe around Final Battle or something like that. Rumors are that they're coming back to New York, to the Hammerstein for another
Yeah.
residency. So very excited for that. I wonder which one of the two hosts here lives closest to New York. Who
Hmm.
knows?
Well, I have Forbidden Door, so fuck you.
That's a good point. I do miss getting Forbidden Door. I got it last year. It was great. But
Yeah.
anyway, this was a great
Anyway,
match. Johnson
yeah.
and Blake were put in a good spot, and they showed at it as usual. But of course, Osprey and Swerve eventually really just showed some awesome chemistry and tag team work with each other. They
Yes.
did this like
Absolutely.
they did like um what am I thinking? They did like a wow. Hidden Blade. There we go. Hidden Blade into the Swerve Stomp, I think, to finish the match. It looked really good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to correct you here and say actually it was the house call,
Actually.
not the Swerve Stomp.
Ah,
But yeah,
that's right.
excellent stuff. But what happened after the match was very interesting as well because immediately after the match, Will and Swerve go up the ramp. Oh, by the way, we should mention that halfway through the match, your EVPs, the Founding Fathers, the Young Bucks, came out to watch the proceedings unfold. And immediately after the match, Will and Swerve sort of get out of the ring and are going to charge up the ramp. Security get in the way. Swerve gets on the mic saying, we've had to deal with your bullshit for ages. Obviously, he has had to deal with it more than most. They cost him the world title. But, we're going to do something about it. And they finally announced what everyone suspected was going to be the match for All In, which is Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland versus the Young Bucks. But they added a twist that I really didn't expect to this, which is Will gets on the mic. He says, "We're going to up the stakes." Um, Cuts. I can't remember what he said. Something about the fans. Good for you. But basically, they told the Bucks that we want you to put your EVP titles, your EVP positions on the line. Which, like, what the fuck does that even mean?
I think it means that I love this visual that Simon Miller put up. He's like, what if they win and the next Dynamite after we just cut to like an office and like Swerve and Osprey just like both have their hands in their face like, oh my god, what were we thinking? Like we want to wrestle, we don't want to be we don't want to be in charge of AEW. But I think that would be rule, goofy wrestling for life. But at the same time,
Very that's very Austin joining the corporation vibes.
oh yeah, I
Uh,
guess so. But either way, I think what it concretely means actually is the Bucks, as we know, have had a very turbulent past few years. I think it's all self-inflicted. Definitely no one else was involved in it. But anyway, um they
mm.
they're looking to I think they're looking to wrap things up.
Certainly no one who would be morally compromised enough to go and wrestle for, a genocidal totalitarian dictatorship.
What? Wait, are you talking about America? Oh, you're talking. Oh, you're talking. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were talking to America for a second. Got confused.
Well,
But
give it a week.
boom. But either way, I think they're looking to wrap up their careers to some extent, and I think they're looking to have one more. They're doing a lot of looking, but they are looking to have one more babyface run? Question mark with the elite getting back together. And I think to do that, you do have to get rid of the EVP status. Kenny's already done it. Hangman was, of course, never an EVP. So I think you have to get rid of that so that the Bucks aren't seen as authority figures. They're not seen as bad guys as much, and you get that final babyface tag run with them. I don't know that I'm not saying they win the titles or whatever, not necessarily that, but they at least have one more run as the elite, and they get the game together before they retire, or at least go part time like Danielson has, which they already pretty much have, honestly.
Yeah.
But either way, I just hope they do what's best for them. I think this is just a storyline way for them to stop interfering in the show and for AEW to get a new set of villains. So that's what I think is going on here.
Yes. I completely agree. Yeah, I believe Kenny let slip that he's no longer an EVP on like one of his streams or something. Um, God knows whether he was talking about, like you say, storyline, or whether genuinely they have sort of relinquished any sort of backstage power, which isn't outside the realm of possibility. Like, let's be clear. It is entirely possible as AEW sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, professionalizes, sort of matures as a company, that they look at, the sort of important positions in the company and say, well, actually, maybe maybe Tyson Smith isn't completely cut out for the role that he has. But that's pure reckless speculation on my part. But on screen, I think what you said makes a lot of sense. That they're going to get rid of the EVP titles in quotation marks so that they don't, like you say, they don't feel like heels. They don't feel like at any moment the Young Bucks are going to come down and be like, oh, well, actually, we think that you should do this. It's a move designed to set up a babyface run down the road, which I fully am on board with. I love the Bucks. I think the Bucks are better as heels. But I think if they are wrapping up their career or winding down their career, there's no way you can do that as baby faces. Sorry, as heels, in the company that they help create. Like, that just doesn't scan. So yeah, I think that's the direction they're going in.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was already pretty sure Osprey and Swerve are winning, but now I'm almost positive that they're winning. I think the Bucks want to give
Oh
that up,
yeah.
and they want to move on from it. So after that, though, the Bucks basically said, that Swerve's a dumbass and has no idea what he's done. They suspended him, which, by the way, for you fucking marks, that's why Swerve didn't show. He had a storyline reason to not help Hangman later in the show. But
Very smart.
what really mattered is what we got next, because Don Callis
Oh,
family came in.
yes, they did. Yes, they did. And the noise I
Yeah,
made, because
same.
I remember just to provide a little bit of backstory when they announced um, the the Continental Classic obviously was coming back for a second year in 2024. They didn't announce any participants, but I said to you and a bunch of our friends that the final of the 2024 Continental Classic was going to be Kazuchika Okada versus Konosuke Takeshita, because I thought that's the match they want to build to. That is the money match. They've never had a match before. I'm pretty sure I'm correct in that. They're two absolute titans of Japanese wrestling in AEW. It's a match that you can build to and blow off on the biggest stage you have. Obviously, that's not the direction they went with. They went with Okada versus Osprey, which I'm never going to be mad about getting, especially when Okada turned it up to 11 for one night only. But I digress. It meant that they always had this match in their back pocket. And Okada, who is now officially part of the Don Callis family, I guess, the Don Callis family and the remaining members of the Elite are sort of, well, we're on the same side now because we both sort of hate, um, you know, Kenny and sort of that. Um, so they formed a tenuous alliance. Everyone's sort of slapping each other on the back, shaking hands, and everyone moves out of shot, and it's just Takeshita and Okada left in the shot. And Takeshita says to him, "Remember, this is only temporary." And the chills I got down my spine, Dory,
I was
because
yelling.
oh my god.
Adam, I was absolutely yelling. I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" I even a few seconds before, I was like, "Takeshi doesn't look very happy." I'm like, "Wait, where's the rest of the family going?" Oh my god, oh my god! I was just like, I was realizing it in real time what was about to happen, and this is where watching years of fucking anime, subbed anime pays off, because when Okada goes Daijobida or Daijobides or whatever he said. Basically, he said, "That's fine. It's fine. That's okay." But I don't it's a narrator voice. It was not fine. It was not okay. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm super excited for that match. Whatever it happens, I mean, I would love All Out. Honestly, All Out. I think that'd be incredible. If they ever did a
I
Japan show, I think that would be great for that. I know they're not planning on it, but it just popped in my head, so I must speak its
hmm,
name.
I could see New Japan, because obviously New Japan have a dual contract with Konosuke Takeshita. I could see them saying we want that on at least a nominally New Japan branded show. I could see them doing that at Wrestle Dream.
Yes.
I think that would make a perfect amount of sense because, Takeshita and Okada are sort of. I don't want to speak out of turn here because I'm not that dialed into the history of Japanese wrestling, but I sort of do think that Takeshita and Okada are the sort of natural heirs to Inokiism, especially in AEW. So I think, if you're going to be doing that, Wrestle Dream is obviously the annual tribute to Antonio Inoki. Um, you know, that would be a pretty good way to honor his legacy. Just have two
Absolutely.
of the best Japanese wrestlers alive today hitting absolute shit out of each other. Works for me.
And speaking of people that would be great to have at Wrestle Dream, Kota
Oh my
Ibushi.
god.
Uh,
Dory, I was so fucking nervous for this match.
I was so nervous too. Look, I knew that Ibushi had been training for years to get in better shape. I knew he had done some matches already, and I knew that he had looked good in most of them, or if not all of them. I'm not saying like 2017, 2018 Ibushi, but better than he has in recent years, which is, great. So Ibushi looked good
It's
here.
by
This
far
was
the
this
best.
was Go ahead, sorry.
It's, no, it's by far the best that Ibushi has looked since he got injured in
Yeah,
2021.
something like
So
that, yeah.
yeah, no, because it was the final of the G1 in
Right.
2021. By far the best he's looked. Um, and unless we forget, a lot of people like to sort of say, "Oh well, he was washed in sort of 2023 when he had that brief AEW run." You go back and watch those matches, he's still there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I
the
never
blood and
thought
guts
I
match.
never thought he was as bad as people were saying. Like, I'm not saying he was amazing in Blood and Guts, but I mean, the dude like stepped on some tacks or some shit, and it messed him up for the rest of. Like, who cares? Like, I don't know. It never really
Just
bothered me.
I still remember that was his first match in AEW. The match is over. He's won. He sees a pile of thumbtacks and goes, "Yeah, I'm just going to go and dive in it."
I remember that too. I was like, "What the fuck, man?" I think I was there for that match too, and I was like, "Ibushi, what
But
the fuck?"
no, but everyone watching who wasn't familiar with Kota Ibushi was like, "What the fuck is he doing?" And everyone who knew was like, "Yeah, that is absolutely on brand for that man."
Yeah, it is.
But anyway, I digress once again. This match, I was sort of very nervous going into it. Is he going to be anywhere near what Kota Ibushi can be, in the past or whatever? He's still there. This is the best he's looked since well, 2021 at least. Um, the fundamentals are very, very strong. He looks amazing. His strikes are still some of the best in the business. Um, just to briefly put over Trent as well. By the way, he wrestled a very good match.
Yes.
Good, every wrestling, we can focus 90% on Ibushi, but it takes two to tango in a wrestling ring, and Trent was a very good foil.
Yeah,
To
Beretta had an
showcase.
amazing God style pile driver that looked really good.
Yeah, yeah,
As
yeah.
well. Trent looks great
I
in this one. I think Trent
I,
is one of
I
those
also
good
saw people.
hand.
Oh, go on.
Go ahead.
No, no, I was just going to say about that Got Star
Yeah.
Pile Driver. I saw people moaning on Twitter about Kota's selling of that move. I thought it was perfect because he gets hit with it. He immediately goes to like Hulk up, like, oh, strong style, I'm going to go and beat the shit out of you. And then it sort of hits him, oh, fuck, that really, really hurt. And like,
Yeah.
he just collapses back to the ground. And people were like, oh, it looked goofy. No, it's delayed, haven't you ever sort of hit yourself?
They
Stubbed your toe or whatever,
like
kept
I know
walking,
he's
and
persona
then
non grata, but like literally the flare flop. Like literally the whole
right,
thing is that he
yeah,
takes a lot of punishment and he like at first he's walking off and then he fucking comedically does a pratfall, right? This
yeah,
isn't like new in wrestling. Like even
and
traditional
also
wrestlers have been doing it for decades.
it's real life. Like I
Yeah.
can't count how many times I've hit my elbow or something, kept going, and then like 1 or 2 seconds later, been like, ah, fuck, that really hurt.
Yeah.
That's just life, man. Anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. Kota Ibushi looked great. Kamigoye looked fucking deadly
That
as hell.
Kamigoye looks so good. The Dragon Suplex right before also looked really good. His moonsault press looked great. Like you said, all the fundamentals are there. He looks in excellent shape. I let
Mm.
out a meaty sigh of relief after this was over, and I do mean
Mm.
meaty.
Mm,
So
God,
good
yeah,
for good.
because but yeah, after the match, I'm conscious of time. We've talked quite a bit already, and there's so
Shocker.
much left of this show. We do it every time. I don't know why. Um, but he's celebrating post match. The coin drops. Okada comes out. Holy shit goes the crowd because this crowd knows how big a fucking deal this is. Like it or not, JD from NY or whoever wants to fucking moan about this, but an AEW crowd is a smart crowd. You can present these two people who, haven't had any interaction between one another before in AEW, and 90% of that crowd will know that these two have history going back over a decade. Because that's just what AEW crowds are like. They're not closed. It's not a closed system. Anyway, I digress.
Okay.
Holy shit! Um, they get in their face. Okada backs away because he's a cowardly little chicken shit. But Dory, I cannot believe the embarrassment of riches in this roster. That
This is
Tony Khan,
ridiculous. If I had paid, I'd want a refund just for how much money I'm getting for my money. That doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like that's where I'm at. I literally got up. I haven't done this in a while, but sometimes when I get up, I don't know what to tell you. I just get the zoomies. I just get so fucking excited. I'm like, let's fucking go. I just start running around the room like, let's go. I'm just fucking muttering to myself like a mad person while Kim's looking at me like, oh God, where are my divorce papers? But
you know, do you know what? Do you know what?
yeah,
But other people, other places, special episodes, they get half-hour promo segments and like a 5-minute LA Night match or like a Joe Hendry squash. AEW special episodes get Kazuchika fucking Okada versus Kota fucking Ibushi. Like,
right.
what the hell do you, that is absolutely just putting it in the throat of every other promotion on this planet. Going, yeah, we have Kazuchika Okada and Kota Ibushi, and we're just gonna have them wrestle on a Dynamite on free
Yeah,
TV. This main evented Wrestle Kingdom, and it's one of the best Wrestle Kingdom main events of all time. I'll go as far to say the second best after Okada and Omega. And like, they're just putting it on Dynamite because they can.
yeah,
And
incredible stuff.
you know who wins in that scenario, Dory?
Us.
We win. We
Yep.
fucking win. Oh my god.
So,
Anyway,
yeah. John
uh,
Moxley had a great promo after this.
yes, he did.
Basically calling out Hangman, saying that he's not scared of Moxley, and he's not even scared of failure, but he's just scared of he's afraid of what the world needs him to be. And saying it was just a great promo. He called him a crybaby, and that a world champion doesn't shy away from responsibility. The world
Mm.
champion walks into the fire. Pretty sure he said walks through the fire and flames. They'll carry on, and then a big guitar solo happened. It was crazy. Anyway, and and it was just an awesome promo from John Moxley. He's been having
Yeah.
better promos these past few months. I think that's part of why. Um, I think that's why people have been a little nicer towards the general angle. Mox's
Well,
promos
thing
have been
is,
better. The matches have been better. So
as well, it's a very clear dynamic that has been formed here, where it's like Hangman is the perpetual doubter. He's the anxious millennial cowboy. He's the guy who
right.
doesn't believe his own his own incredible talent. Whereas John Moxley is basically saying like, while you're doubting yourself and while you're wrestling with your demons, I am fully formed. I am 100% ready to go. I believe in what I'm doing, and while you're wrestling with yourself, I'm going to fucking kill you before you can even think about it.
Yep.
Which, is perfect. That's what you want because, John Moxley believes his own bullshit. That is the whole point. You know. But excellent promo. Suck my dick, anyone who thinks that the Death Riders aren't good anymore. You might have been correct 6 months ago. You're not correct now. Anyway, that's just me. But then after the break, they Renee Paquette had AR Fox backstage. Not to make too much hay about this, Ricochet basically sort of cajoled him into agreeing to being his tag partner. And he's a shit. Good for him. And with that, we got well, I was going to say the match of the night, but then I remembered another match that happened, so I'll say the second best match of the night.
And this was the Jet Speed one, right?
Yeah. Ricochet and AR Fox. They went straight into it. Ricochet and AR Fox.
I was trying to think. I was like, I think it's the Jet Speed match, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, sorry. I should have specified. I do apologize.
That's okay. No, it's fine. Yeah, this was a terrific match. Probably one of my matches of the night as well. And they made like a sports reference, and Kevin Knight referenced MVP's theme. And eventually Mark Briscoe came out. Actually, what? Oh, never mind. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. So, AEW Results does this weird. So they have Ricochet recruits AR Fox for a match, but then they move right onto Jet Speed. But anyway, Ricochet and Fox made a great team, but of course Ricochet eventually abandoned him. But I mean, Fox did all his usual spots, all his high flying shenanigans, and Fox was able to fight off.
I'm so glad that they are using AR Fox again.
Yes,
I get why he was in the doghouse. I do genuinely get it, because the what happened is the sort of thing that a promoter will look at and be like, well, can I really trust him? But once you get past that, once you sort of think, well, enough time has passed, perhaps I need to have a reevaluation of what I've got here. You realize that what you've got is a phenomenal athlete, and the sort of man that you can just put in one of these matches and he is going to do incredible things. And
totally agree.
For my money, even in a match that has Kevin Knight, who is just a freakish athlete, still not completely fully formed in my mind, but is getting there rapidly. Ricochet, who is on the run of his life, and Speedball Mike Bailey, who, this might be a controversial opinion, but I think is top 10 wrestler in the world on any given day. Even with those three in the match, I still think the highlight of this match is AR Fox. And that's about as high a praise as I can give.
Yeah, I mean, I think AR Fox has got to be up there in terms of one of the most underrated, and I mean, maybe not as much now because the crowd is just chanting his name, but I'm glad he's finally getting this push. Even after, I think AR Fox and Ricochet are going to have a feud. Fox is probably going to get Jet Speed to help him out, maybe, or another babyface tag team. And Ricochet is going to have some help, and we'll talk about that on Kyleision. But it was a team that some other people called, and I'm really excited for them to get more shine. Well, mostly shine because Ricochet's got a. Oh yeah, you called it. I forgot. But mostly shine because Ricochet's got such a shiny bald head. But anyway, this was a great match, and eventually Ricochet abandoned Fox, and as everybody kind of figured he would. And Kevin Knight was able to get the UFO splash, but this is where Jet Speed issued a challenge. Now I'm gonna be a little nitpicky about this. I appreciate that technically they just beat Ricochet and AR Fox, but Jet Speed have been kind of getting absolutely butchered these past few weeks by the Hurt Syndicate. I mean, the first week, I think they beat up the Hurt Syndicate, but then ever since then, the Hurt Syndicate's been beating them up, and they also just beat them in a trios match last week. So I just feel like the booking's all over the place with this one. Like
Dory, we need to start a dialogue on the Hurt Syndicate, and I'm sorry.
Oh boy. All right, what's the what?
I didn't want to call it, but I was perfectly willing. I remember the first time it happened. MVP, I think it was with the Outrunners. the Outrunners challenged for the titles. They said, we want a shot at the AEW World Tag Team titles. And MVP laughed at them and was like, you're not having a fucking shot at the titles. Look at you. You're not worthy. You basically laughed in their face. I remember some people were like, well, that's just burying them. The whole point of a manager is to sort of sell a credible threat. And I was one of the people who was like, no, the whole point is that you put up or shut up. MVP laughing them out of pocket is right because they haven't done anything to prove it yet. Once somebody proves themselves, then, that's the time for the comeuppance, so it'll mean a lot more. That was 4 months ago. I am now ready to call it. The Hurt Syndicate has done fuck all to put anybody over on their level.
I think, ironically, the closest we got was when Private Party lost the titles to Hurt Syndicate because the MVP kept putting them over and over again and saying how impressive they were and how great they were and how they put up a fight and how he respects their tag. Like, and that's it. Like, ever since then, whether it was Big Bill and Brian Keith or it was the Outrunners or now it's Jet Speed, I just feel like and I love MVP and I love the Hurt Syndicate. So this isn't like me saying I don't want them hurting people. But
it is almost forgivable because they're so over.
Yes.
But that isn't an excuse for not building up this tag division. And you can put that on the booker, and absolutely I'll put it on Tony Khan because at the end of the day, what he says goes. But also, I feel like the Hurt Syndicate, MVP especially in these promos, could be doing so much more to make the tag title defenses of his people feel more of a big deal because there's only so many times you can laugh off any opposition before the crowd rightfully goes, well, why should we fucking care if you're not gonna care?
Right.
I don't know. It struck me during this segment. I don't want to dwell too much on it because in the context of the rest of the show, it was relatively minor. But I don't know. They need to do something that, like, I don't know. Something needs to change.
But either way, Mark Briscoe showed up eventually after some back and forth. I guess Mark Briscoe and MJF are having a feud, which I'm excited about. Probably means Max is going to start bleeding again. He almost never bleeds, but I have a feeling he'll bleed for Mark Briscoe. I know people don't know this about Max because he hides it very well, but Max is kind of a fucking mark. And in this case, he's a mark for Mark.
Not to peel back the curtain, but the report did come out that this was a feud that Max pushed very vehemently backstage for. Yes. He knows what any true wrestling fan knows, which is that Mark Briscoe is an absolutely phenomenal wrestler, and he is the sort of man that you want to have a program with.
And Max can get great heat from the crowd. I mean, I can imagine quite a few things that Max can point out about either Mark's past or Mark's brother. I mean, there are places Max easily can go here. Yeah.
I was going to say, I would like to apologize on behalf of Maxwell Jacob Friedman to the memory of Jamin Briscoe, orthodontists of Delaware, chickens, contraception. I could go on.
It's gonna get real messy before it gets anywhere else. But I'm excited for that feud. It's not a feud I thought about, but I'm excited for it to happen. I think what will happen next week. There's some other stuff with MJF and MLW, but I don't want to get too into that. But basically, I think that Mark and MJF will have a face-off in the Casino Gauntlet, and they'll both cost each other the match, and that'll lead to All Out. And they might even have a hardcore match. I'm not sure. But either way, Max will certainly be winning that. I don't think it'll hurt Mark at all. You could drop a fucking piano of losses on Mark Briscoe and it wouldn't matter. But he's like perpetually over. But regardless, and I think Mystico will be costing Max next week. But we'll see. We'll see.
I also think that there is a part of me that thinks that I would have preferred MJF versus Mystico 2 at All In. Um, I sort of wonder if Max is in the Casino Gauntlet, which it looks like he will be. Why that match wasn't booked? Perhaps Mystico is in the Casino Gauntlet. I don't know. But that would have been a far more intriguing prospect to me. Just for All In because
Yeah.
it's in Texas.
I really think Mystico could show up for the Gauntlet and be a huge like surprise pop for.
I think he'll be on the show in some capacity. I think that's a layup that Tony Khan, who I think it is probably one of his weaknesses as a booker that he doesn't capitalize on the moment as much as some people could. I think even he will look at that and think there's absolutely no way I cannot get this man on the card.
Right. Yeah, Max, Mark highlighted that the word of the day was empathy, which is a great word. And then told that Max that he has a teeny tiny kosher pickle in his pants.
And the crowd chanted kosher pickle, and Bobby Lashley
chanted
absolutely corpsed.
I love this. They chanted empathy, and then they made fun of Max's stick. So, I mean, huge hypocrites in the crowd in Washington. But anyway.
Did you see that Bobby Lashley absolutely corpsed itself?
Yes, I did, yes. It was incredible. Then we got a four-way match. One thing I want to point out, too, I was taking some victory laps because the Hurt Syndicate and Max segment wasn't too long, and people like to fucking complain about it. But then Mark Briscoe came out, and the segment got lengthened, and then I couldn't say that anymore, so I really ate shit on that one. But it's not Max's fault. It's obviously Mark Briscoe's fault. So Max remains blameless, as always.
I remember during live chat, you were like, oh, well, that MJF segment didn't go too long, and like some people have been saying, I just messaged you back, it's still going on, Dory.
Yeah, because you guys are always ahead of me, so just as I finish typing that and posting it, I hear Mark Briscoe's music, and I'm like, the fuck? And then he starts talking about Max, and I'm like, no, my point. But anyway, it's whatever. So the four-way match that happened next, I think this was the match of the night, right? At least for the Dynamite card. Briscoe, Bandito, Roddy, and Takeshita. My God, what a match!
I mean, it is. I think it is literally impossible for that combination of wrestlers to have a bad match, let alone anything, there was no way in hell that this wasn't going to be an incredible, spectacular match. And that's what we got. Surprise, surprise.
Shocker. Yeah, I do have some little tiny things. Like at the beginning, I think there were some miscommunications, but they worked through it. And eventually the pace really got up there. Bandito had some awesome Hurricane Ranas. Takeshita did a double German suplex. Roddy was doing backbreakers everywhere. Yeah. There was a funny part where Taz is like, "Oh, I wonder what Roddy's gonna do. Is it a backbreaker?" It was a backbreaker.
I know. I remember. I pointed that at you. I was like, it was unintentional, but it was such a damning indictment of Roddy's moveset. He goes to set. I think it was Bandito. He goes to set Bandito up for something, and Taz just goes, "Oh, probably a backbreaker," and then it was a backbreaker.
That's hilarious. But yeah, and then Briscoe eventually won, which I was really surprised by. I did not see him winning. I thought
I 100% had Konosuke Takeshita winning this match.
Yes, same.
And then because I think that's a case of like, Takeshita is the sort of man that it's impossible to bet against.
Yep. But he didn't get pinned at least, so I'm okay with it.
No, well, I think the moment that everyone saw who was in this match, everyone went, "Oh, Roderick Strong is going to get pinned in this match," and he did.
But a great match. I actually thought the women's four-way was paced a little better, but I thought they were of similar quality. I thought the women were more consistently on peak form, but I mean, women generally have to like go twice as hard to get noticed. So
that's very true. I will say this. The men's was an excellent four-way match. The women's was an excellent three-way match, and Thunder Rosa is also there.
Yeah, I just tried to push that out of my mind.
No. We are being brutally honest on this modcast, Dory. I I have absolutely no patience for Thunder Rosa in 2025.
Well, we're gonna
And
get to that match soon, but we gotta.
yeah,
We'll I guess very briefly, Adam Cole just said that he's gonna go after Kyle, but not before Kyle
yeah,
goes after Kyle. So we'll
but
actually let's
yeah.
just get into the women's
Well,
match because there was really nothing from Adam Cole. So
just to say that he said tomorrow night, which had actually meant later on in the taping,
right,
he challenged any member of the Don Callis family, and everyone immediately went, "Oh, Josh Alexander."
yeah.
Well, actually, some people went Lance Archer, and then someone else pointed out that no, Josh Alexander is also there. What by the way, just briefly, very briefly, what are your thoughts on Josh Alexander so far in AEW?
I thought he's had a great run. I know it's not the run that maybe some of his fans want, but I am personally a big fan of Josh Alexander. And number one, just happy he's not in another company where his talents would be wasted. But number two, I think all the matches he's been in, he's shown out. He's looked good. He's put people over. He's kept all of his trademark looks, all of his trademark moves. He was one of my favorite parts of TNA back when I used to watch it when Scott D'Amore booked it. And I think he's looked great. I know I'm not going to say it's a 5 out of 5 run or anything, but I think it's TNT title quality worth worth a TNT title at some point, like maybe give a year or something, or even 6
Yeah.
months. Like I would give him the TNT title somewhere in 2026. And that's how, yeah, I think it's been going pretty well. What about you?
Yeah, I broadly agree. No, I only ask because I know some people were like, "Oh, well, why is he just become just another guy?" First of all, this AEW roster is so stacked that even your just another guys are going to be world class. So, like, that's to be expected. But also, I think putting him with Don Callis is a really good idea because A, Don Callis is always on TV. The Don Callis family is quite possibly the most featured act on AEW, even surpassing like the Death Riders. They're a constant presence on TV, which then makes Josh Alexander a constant presence on TV. And two, what it's meant is that he is able to showcase what he's all about, which is that he is a really good mat wrestler. That's his start. He's a powerhouse. He has that incredible sort of amateur wrestling background, and he showcases it on the regular in AEW. Like, what more do you want? He was never
Yeah.
he was never going to be the sort of guy that was going to come in and set the world on fire. I think if anyone had that expectation of Josh Alexander, they needed to taper it like several degrees. Um, you know, I always said that, if AEW were able to pick up the two hot free agents from TNA, that Speedball was always going to be the guy that AEW looked at and was like, right, he's the, if we can only push one, if we can only have one in like massive feature programs, it's going to be Speedball, and that's what's ended up happening. But that should not take away from the fact that Josh Alexander has been a constant presence on TV. He's had really good matches, including his debut match against Hangman Adam Page, for fuck's sake.
Right. That was amazing.
Like,
Oh God, I loved that match.
Yeah.
I also want to say, last thing we'll say before we move on, is that just because you lose a lot doesn't mean you become another guy. It's all about follow up. It's all about having like little bits of story after. It's all about having other chances, right? I don't mind if Josh loses as long as he looks competitive while he loses, or the other guy cheats or whatever. Like it still puts Josh over as a great competitor. He just can't get the job done. So eventually, maybe he'll turn back face and he'll win some titles. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. He just joined AEW. I'll worry about that in I don't know, summer of 2026. And if he's still exactly where he is right now, then I'll say okay. I'm a little worried for Josh, but I don't even know if Don Callis' family is going to be a thing in a year. So I'm not going to fucking worry about that. Losing
No.
isn't inherently bad in wrestling, and I wish more people would realize that. But
Yeah,
regardless,
look at people.
yeah,
Look at people like we've already talked about, like AR Fox, like Blake Christian. When's the last time they won a match in AEW? And
right.
yet they are still constantly being featured as competitors because in losing they are still showcasing that they are excellent professional wrestlers, and that is what matters in AEW.
And even
We're the
against
best wrestlers. We're the best wrestlers, not just a slogan. It is
right.
it is a mantra. It is a philosophy of AEW. And if you are
Even
we're
against
the best wrestle,
the
the best
the
wrestle has
Oro
to the
farmer
best has
himself,
to lose.
Adam Cole. Sorry, go ahead.
All I was saying was, in a company where they advertise it as we're the best wrestle,
Right.
the best still have to lose.
Yeah. Everybody's got to lose sometime. Yeah, and even against the Aura farmer known as Adam Cole, who I still like, and I don't dislike him like some folks do. He still got some quiet chance compared to Adam Cole, which is he hasn't been in the company that long, and he's been sequestered in TNA and the Indies for a while. So I wouldn't blame some AEW folks for not knowing him, even though a lot of us are fucking marks who should know who Josh is. But like he's still getting like quietly, like people are still chanting like walking weapon, and against Adam Cole, like that's a big deal. Like Adam Cole is one of the most over
Yeah.
people in the company, even though some might say he's not the same since his injury. So anyway, all of that to say, oh my fucking god, Thunder Rosa.
Oh my god. So just to preface this by saying the other three women in this match put on a really, really good match. Which is
Yes.
not surprising when the other three people in this match are Chris Statlander, who I think is quite possibly the most underrated women's talent on the planet. Willow Nightingale, who I think has a world title run in her potentially this year, especially if Mercedes Moné wins the title at All In. I think Willow beating her is a layup.
Yeah.
And also Athena, who, if you want to tell me that Mercedes Moné is the best women's wrestler on the in North America, I won't say on the planet because there are some incredible Joshis. But the best women's wrestler in North America, I will not argue with you. If you said to me Athena is the best women's wrestler in North America, I will not argue with you. She is incredibly phenomenal. And then there's Thunder Rosa. Start.
Yep.
Like at this point, like it has gone to the point where Athena has been ROH Women's World Champion for what 900 days.
Yeah, it's almost Roman Reigns level.
And I am looking at her reign and thinking, fuck it. Just give the belt to Thunder Rosa so she could get off my screen and we can have Athena in AEW. That's where I'm at.
And Thunder is from Texas, so it'll probably happen. I mean, I know they're both from Texas, but you know what I mean. Well, I know Thunder is technically from Mexico. You know what I mean. I think she
No,
has a
I
lot of
wasn't.
fans in Texas.
I wasn't sighing at your inaccuracy. I was sighing at the fact that I have to talk about Thunder Rosa.
No, I understand. Look, Thunder Rosa botched. What did she botch? She botched a fucking pin, or she botched having her shoulders on the mat. I fucking forget.
Yeah,
It was
she botched
outrageous.
something. She.
Oh, I remember the botch. She was in the match. That was the biggest botch I noticed.
That is the biggest botch. The fact that she is a feature competitor in All Elite Wrestling in the year of our Lords, the Anno Domini 2025.
Not the Anno Domini.
Like,
And
me running.
I generally am not this mean about wrestlers. I don't like to be. And I would love to say, look, I don't like Thunder Rosa in the ring anymore, but at least she's a nice person. No, not really, because she's on Busted Open, which constantly, fucking gets on AEW's ass and rides the dick of the other company. And then also like makes comments about other women's choice of clothing when she decides to do like fucking Patreon streams in her kitchen with like almost nothing on, which is absolutely fine, of course. But then don't criticize women for like their clothing habits. Like that's just fucking weird. So it's just I just don't like her. And some of the stuff she said recently too. Just anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, where it was like, oh, I'm not being pushed because I don't get my tits out. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, yes, you fucking do. But that's beside the point. But, more importantly, are you seriously going to sit there and say that, like, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm, who else do you want to fucking name? Megan Bain, I don't fucking know, Marina Shafir, whatever. All these feature performers, all these feature women in AEW, are you trying to tell me that they're only getting booked because they have big tits? Like,
okay, and also, like, I'm sorry, I love Tony Storm with all my heart. She has for a woman who constantly talks about tits.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Tony Storm doesn't really have tits, and she's like or boobs, I should say. And I don't care, but it's like it's such a ridiculous statement when you're like your women's world champ is like one of the most like I don't know. It's stupid. I don't even want to talk about women's bodies like this, but it's like it's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. It's not even true because Thunder does wear revealing stuff every now and then. I mean, she doesn't even have a fucking consistent aesthetic. But anyway, Athena looked incredible in this match. I don't know if we're done hating on Thunder Rosa, but I'm kind of done.
Yeah,
But
I'm done. She is persona non grata. Only to say, not to
yes,
have another person that wasn't in this match catching strays, but I'm going to say it anyway. The All Elite Wrestling Women's Division has progressed past the need for Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker.
yeah,
Like, thank you for your
absolutely.
contribution. Thank you for your contributions to the company in the past. Get the
I
fuck off my screen.
I am at Jericho levels with both of them. I just don't think we need
Me
them.
too.
Jericho, it's a little different. I would be okay with a retirement run, but other than that, I'm good. Like no,
I
thank you.
I
But yeah,
genuinely, I would have rather Chris Jericho in this women's four-way than Thunder Rosa.
the transphobia during Pride Month is crazy, Adam.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I mean, at least he does actually get his tits out.
That's true. That's true. Just proving Thunder Rosa right again. Anyway, Athena looked amazing in this match. Willow looked really good. And yeah, I mean, it just what can you say? Stat was incredibly powerful. We've indirectly talked about this a lot already. The most interesting part, I think you'll agree, was the end of the match where the Death Riders interfered, Marina and Wheeler. They
Mm.
distracted Willow and they allowed Statlander to hit her Saturday Night Fever and pin Willow. Now, here's what I think is going on here. And somebody said this before, so I'm not taking credit for it. Could have been you, Adam. I don't remember. I think they're trying to swerve us, bro. I think they're trying to make us think that maybe Stat is going to join the Death Riders, but actually, what's going to happen is that she's going to join with Willow, and she's going to attack Wheeler and Marina and like help. I don't know, Hangman or help. Willow against Marina. Like, I don't
I
think that
I
Stat is
agree.
turning
I
heel, but I
agree.
don't know. Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think she's helping Hangman just because with all the people that I have internally
Yeah, that's
think
true.
listed to help Hangman. I said in the chat the referee's going to need to be hit by a fucking hydrogen bomb to stay down long enough for all the people to interfere.
Oh my god, Anna Domini and the hydrogen bomb in the same podcast. Um, but yeah, I agree. That's going to be WrestleMania 40-esque run-ins and stuff. So,
but with
yeah,
but with
you're
Bryan
probably right. I
Danielson,
think
so it's
Stat will help.
automatically better.
I think Stat will help Willow against Marina in that eventual match whenever they fucking have it, which they should have had it
Oh my
months
god.
ago. But I digress.
It wouldn't
Um,
surprise me if that's the sort of thing that they do put on the card.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
But
either.
I
Give
hope
Willow a
so.
huge win.
Yeah. But anyway, FTR say that they're gonna meet the Outrunners in the middle of the ring. Good for them. But after that, oh, we should mention, by the way, that Chris Statlander. Did we mention that she won? I think we
She
mentioned
did
that she
win.
won.
I was trying to
But
imply it,
also,
but yes, she got the Saturday Night Fever on Willow and won.
hmm, which is good.
Yep.
Chris Statlander being in the gauntlet is always a good thing. But yes, after that we get our main event, which is Hangman Page. This was announced like an hour before the show, and I jumped out of my chair when I saw it because it was Hangman Page versus the Beast Mortos. And I'm not going to say that he has received a rather sustained push since the news broke of
Yeah.
his relationship status. I'm
Lots
not going
of
to go there. I'm not going to
yeah.
go there. But if that is true, then it
Good
couldn't have
for
happened
him.
to a more deserving professional wrestler because
Exactly. Like people are like, "Oh my god, he's only getting this push because of X, Y, and Z." First off, fuck you, you don't know that. Second, that's super dismissive of his natural abilities. Third, roar. And fourth, like if anybody fucking deserves it, it's him. Like he's
yeah.
just done an incredible job. And I'm really happy that he's been main eventing Dynamite two weeks in a row. Make it 3 weeks. Fuck it, I
Mm.
don't care. Put him in that Okada Ibushi match. I'm kidding. But that's how you know he'd have backstage power when that happens. Oh yeah,
Oh my
it's the
god.
main event, and Beast Mortos is there for some reason. It's
Beast Mortis winning the gauntlet and then cashing in on Hangman.
That's right. Let's go. But anyway, so let's get him a belt collector angle. Let's really jazz this up. So this match was hard hitting. It was really fun. Adam, anything that super stood out to you about the match itself?
First of all, the fact that Hangman Page is able to hit all of his power moves, like he hits, like he hits a Deadeye, he hits, like a power bomb, sort of, to the, I think it was to the apron, I can't remember. He hits the fallaway slam. Beast Mortos is not a small man by any means, but it just goes to show that Hangman is everything and more. What I loved as well, I have no idea if this was intentional. I have no, like an intentional Easter egg for the people that were paying attention. You know that lung blower that Mercedes hits nowadays?
Yes.
Beast Mortos hit one of them, and I immediately went, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen him hit it before, so I assume it must be like an intentional reference to, obviously he's dating Mercedes now, so she's teaching him some moves. But I that popped me huge because I was like, "Oh, that's a really good Easter egg for those who are paying attention."
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't notice it. So yeah, good call on that one. But yeah, I mean, this match was so super hard hitting. Hangman hitting a poison Rana looked incredible.
It really
Mordos hit
did.
some headbutts and a Samoan drop, and I mean, it just the both of them flowed really well together. I remember I tweeted on, or I skeeted or whatever, posted on Blue Sky about that four-way men's match for the casino gauntlet, and I was like, Tony Khan. And then when this got announced, I was like, Tony motherfucking Khan.
Oh my
But
god, yeah.
I don't think this is a hot take, but probably certainly North American Booker of the year so far. But
The only person that comes close in general, I think, is like Taro Okada or Sari.
yeah,
And with Sari, it's like she only really books like 5-6 shows a year.
right,
So it's like, can you really say that?
sure,
Taro Okada, Stardom has been going through a bit more of a. It had a bit of a slump there, but it's gone through a bit more of a renaissance. What with Saya Kamitani on top, and the ascension of people like SLK and Hazuki and people like that.
yeah,
But certainly North American wrestling, Tony Khan is Booker of the Year so far, and I
yeah.
don't see that changing.
I don't either.
We're
No,
recording. We're recording this after Night of Champions, and I still don't fucking see it changing.
yeah. Woo. Anyway, lots
But,
to say about
yeah,
that. But after the match, I love the way this is worded. Darkness enveloped the arena. Wow, give the editor a raise here. Guys, this is a little side note here. Editors are important. Go pay your editors. Anyway, just
we love you,
randomly pointing
Shem.
that out, Adam. They Matthew Nicholas came out of nowhere
You
and fucking
you'll get paid when I get paid. Fuck you.
That's not the reference I was making, and you know it. But anyway, so yeah, they they hit the EVP trigger, and then the Death Riders came in, and the Ops tried to help. Osprey got in there too, and eventually they were able to get him loose. But yeah, it was pretty bad for the Cowboy, and notably, of
like,
course, Swerve couldn't come out to help.
but we're 2 weeks out from All In. This is exactly the sort of thing that you should be doing 2 weeks out. You need to insert a bit of jeopardy into the story. We've had what felt like endless, Death Riders come and it, choke someone out or whatever. But we hadn't had that for a while. It had been sort of Hangman ending on top, or the Ops beating them for the trios belts or something. The Death Riders have been taking a lot of L's. They lost the Anarchy in the arena match, for example. So I think having this here, where it's like, no, we are still a force to be reckoned with. We can still take out Hangman and choke the life out of him. Really good stuff. I'm still not flinching. I still think Hangman's winning. Fucking better, I swear to God. But I think this makes sense to do this here.
Yeah, I agree. You got to have that jeopardy, and
Tell you
you
what, though,
know,
Dory, you fucking better. I swear to God. We said about North American Booker of the Year. I swear to God,
I just dangling over a pit of lava, like Tony. I swear. Yeah.
the sword of Damocles is very much hanging over Globe Life Field.
Oof. Yeah. Been
Um,
there. But yeah, it's it's a great time to be an AEW fan. This was another great show, and I really enjoyed it. I would say there's two great matches, a lot of very exciting future matches announced and teased. So this was a great show. Not amazing or anything. Not going to be in any. I don't think it's going to be in anybody's top 5 or whatever of the year. But I had a great time with it, and some really nice story movements on a lot of fronts. And the crowd was
from
hot too.
for
That
a
really
show
helped.
for a show that is 2.5 weeks out from your biggest show of the year, this is exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Built quite a few matches towards the show. Had some great wrestling, showcased a lot of people that are going to be on the show. Excellent. Really good stuff. Do we want to briefly talk about Collision?
Yeah,
Um,
let's talk about Kyleision very, very briefly. So,
oh yeah. Do you
um,
mind? Oh, actually, carry on, carry on. I was gonna
okay.
say, do you mind talking for like 2 minutes?
Yeah, I
But
was gonna do it anyway. Way ahead of you.
we will plow
So
on.
we're gonna speed through this. Not because it was a bad
Hmm.
show, but just because my voice is tired. It's late, and I gotta take my dog out. And also,
It's
Collision
half 2 in the morning.
was a good show, but I don't feel the need to talk about it at length.
No.
Outrunners and FTR both had great promos. I know Outrunners are not everybody's cup of tea in the ring, but I will say their promos here were great, and
Hmm.
I'm excited for that. It successfully got me mildly excited for their match with FTR. I'm sure FTR will get a 4-star classic out of them, and it will be good enough, and we will move on, and no one will ever talk about it again. Christian Cage and Nick Wayne fought Big Bill and Brian Keith. This was a fun match. I'm not
I
going to say
really
like a
like this match.
yeah. I thought that Big Bill is really still working over the God bless Cardiff. Is still getting over with the crowd and doing
Oh,
really doing well with that whole
that was
situation of
such a
trying to get the crowd into him.
that was such a magical night. I swear to God.
Yes.
It was just
Uh
one of those things. I was in the sorry to go off on
yeah,
a
yeah.
tangent. I know we want to get through this quick, but I was in the section where that started, and it was just one of those things where it's like you will get a British crowd now, every now and then that will just be like, let's just we're on camera. This is going to air to like hundreds of thousands of people. I bet if we just, Big Bill's in the ring, what if we just made him like the biggest baby face in the world? What if we just started chanting for him and cheering everything he did and make it so incongruous that just, they will have no choice but to acknowledge it. And that's exactly
Yeah.
what happened. We were chanting, we were going absolutely nuts for everything he did, and it was just such a fun, a massively fun night. I can't even remember who he was fighting, to be honest. I think it
I
might have
don't
been
remember
Hook.
either. Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know
Which we weren't gonna fucking cheer Hook. Um,
though. But either way, one of the coolest moments was when Big Bill jumped over Christian to avoid a spear, which was really
mm,
fucking cool.
that was. I
Um,
mean, he's so good.
yeah, he's great. Patriarchy eventually win by pinning the Bad Apple. There's been some rumors that they're introducing a father-son tag team title. It's probably just a gimmick tag team title. I'm not sure when Christian and Nick would win that. Maybe All Oot. But I'm setting up a lot of shit for All Oot. But anyway, I think All Oot is the move, and just have Christian pin Shelton. I don't care. And then Josh Alexander, like I said, we're breezing through this. Josh Alexander is warning Adam Cole that he's not going to be walking out with the TNT title or at all. Spoilers, he lied to us. I can't believe you would lie to me, Josh. Um, but then interestingly, MVP comes out, says hello to the patriarchy. Christian, Christian was so funny here.
Oh my god, it's like fuck me. He's like, oh, congratulations on your win, and Christian's like, hey, remember when you got arrested for armed robbery in real life, you motherfucker? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah. Never
Jesus
trust a
Christ.
criminal. You weren't even a good criminal because you got caught. You're a better criminal than you are a manager. So just love Christian so much. Um, and
He is the physical embodiment
yeah,
of permanently waking up and choosing violence.
absolutely
Like
he is.
Oh, he's so good.
This was one of the most what the fuck matches I've seen in a while, but it was really fun. Brody King and
I
Templario
know.
versus Rocky Romero and Hetchy, Big Hetch. I'm just calling him Big Hetch now. Please don't hurt me, Hetchy Sarah. But this was great. I loved this. I don't know where the fuck this came from. I don't know why it happened. Do I care? Absolutely not. It was a very fun match.
It really was. And like I love that the AEW CMLL relationship is something that isn't just, oh, well, we're doing something with CMLL now. No, it is like a constant sort of, more so than even New Japan, where it is like, oh, every now and then you will just get a CMLL guy on the card, whether it's Hechicero, Templario, Volador Jr., Mascara Dorada, Mystico increasingly, which, inspired move by Tony because Mystico is incredible. But it is very much the sort of thing where it's like on any given card, Dynamite, Collision, whatever, you might just see, oh, Atlantis Junior's on this card. Boo the fuck out of him because everyone knows now. But that's beside the point. But I really do appreciate the integration with the AEW CMLL relationship. Low key, I think it might be the strongest and stablest relationship in wrestling right now, even more so
Yeah.
than AEW New Japan.
Yeah. I've had less stable relationships in my life than the CML AEW relationship. So there you go.
Preach. Um,
But yeah, this was great. Brody and Templario worked together really well. Of course, Brody did his signature Cannonball Senton, just like a fucking train coming into you. Templario was doing incredible drop kicks and a handspring moonsault, which was crazy. Eventually, Brody got Rocky, which we all kind of figured would happen. Rocky was in the match,
yeah,
so he's probably getting pinned. And then Mercedes and Tony exchanged some words, and it's just a lot of back and forth. Monet
that's just a,
saying that
a lot of F bombs.
a lot of F
Um,
bombs from Mercedes, which was surprising to me. But she basically said that she's gonna, kick her ass. But she's gonna have match number 1,000. She's a true star, darling. She did that bitchy laugh that she's got, which I loved. Um, and yeah, it was just awesome. And then Tony came back and said, "Mercedes, these are the kind of games you want to play. I was born on roulette table, baby. I'll play snooker or snooky. I'm not sure. Snooker with your
Snooker, yeah.
snatch. I'll play tic tac toe with your tits." So good stuff. This is where Mina told her not to
Yeah.
interfere, and Tony agreed.
Yeah, was it?
And then
What else
yeah.
did she say? She said, "I'll play like, was it craps with your cat?" Oh no, we can't say that.
But yeah, Megan Bain versus Vert Vixen. I love Vert Vixen. I'm glad she got a chance here.
as
She's gotten
as
many
do I.
chances, but she always looks great. Go ahead.
She always. No, I was just gonna say I
Yes.
love it, Vixen. Anytime she's on screen, it is incredible. She was up against Megan Bain, so she was never gonna fucking win. But
Yeah.
it's always good to see her.
Yep. Completely agree. And then Anthony Bowens called his shot. Uh, but he has Billy staying home, so thank you, Bowens. We're already moving in the right direction. He's been calling himself a
Bless
Private Pro
you,
Wrestling. So
bless you.
yeah,
Like
yep, because tight indeed.
all genuinely, if he just does two things, if he puts Billy Gunn in a home and drops the 5 tool player thing, then the sky's the limit for him. Those are the two things that are holding him back at the moment. If he just does those two things, then we'll be golden.
Yep.
And but to be honest, not to hijack the thing, low key, until he does that, I am finding it a bit hard to buy in.
Yeah, I agree. I'm more into Max Caster than Bowens, and that's crazy.
Which is absolutely wild.
Every time I see Bowens, I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had Max Caster on my screen instead. Anyway,
He's the best wrestler alive.
well, absolutely, and I signed the fucking petition, so I ought to know. Anyway, and that's a shoot, by the way. I did that. I also got Kim to do it too, so she also believes it. Anyway, hi Kim. But, Adam Cole versus Josh Alexander. This was a great match. I'm not saying it was amazing, but it was a solid TV match. I
I
was
think
invested.
it's the best Adam Cole's looked on TV in a long time, I think.
Yeah. I think he's going to constantly have better nights than others, and we're just going to be saying this over and over again. But yeah, it was all about injuries. I mean, Adam, of course, with his ankles, and Josh with his neck, and they just went back and forth. on a lot of technical stuff. And it all looked really good. I mean, there was nothing huge here, but Adam did some good selling, and Josh looked really good as always. Now, the next part, everyone's going to be mad. Well, everyone who's British is going to be mad at me. I must have skipped a little too far ahead. I missed this. I guess Alex Bloody Windsor made a promo.
Alex Bloody Windsor. Yes, she
Yeah.
fucking did.
I'm so sorry,
Oh,
B. I completely missed this. I did not see it until you were marking out about it on affectionately on the chat. But yeah, Alex Bloody Windsor. She called herself one of the best women's wrestlers in the UK.
no,
Emphasized her
which
determination and
which
ambition.
is a lie. I'm sorry, it's a lie.
Oh,
She's
okay.
the best women's wrestler
Yeah.
in the
Okay, saw
UK,
that coming.
and I will
Yep.
stand on that.
All right. I saw her fucking match with Jamie. Man, that was such a good match.
I
Really great match.
this is a controversial opinion, and I am ready to be taken and raked over the coals for it. In 2025, Alex Windsor is better than Jamie Hayter.
Wow.
I know,
I hope we get that AEW match soon. I'd love to see a rematch between those two. They had such a good Rev Pro match. Thanks, shout out to B for sharing it because I wouldn't have watched it otherwise. But yeah. Now I've got to talk about this. This is where I take my victory lap. This is like half the reason we're talking about a collision. It's Sky Blue
Yeah.
versus Queen Aminata. This was a pretty good match, but Sky Blue got the shit beat out of her.
Oh my.
And
Yep.
I'm very
This is
surprised
the thing.
how, yeah.
No, I love how AEW has seen people say, "Oh, Queen Aminata can really throw a punch," and they've just gone, "Right, Queen, your new thing is that you just beat the shit out of people." And Queen Aminata's gone, "Wonderful, give me everyone you've got."
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. And it's also funny to note this is the third match in the third year that these two have faced each other, which is very funny. I don't know their win loss record. Maybe Adam can look that up while I'm vamping.
yeah,
Hint, hint. But I know that this is their third match of the third year. It's because they're really good friends with each other, so they can afford to be very stiff with each other. All of their stuff looks really, really good. I guess one of her signature moves, Queen Aminata's, is called Chocolate Kisses. Wow. I did not know it was called that. And then she also did the off with her head, which is the amazing kick that she does, and it actually got her the win. She has never gotten the win with that move, I don't think. So I was very
I'm
surprised when that happened.
I am surprised to learn that actually, in AEW, Queen Aminata is 2-1 over Sky Blue.
Wow. Okay.
I would have absolutely put money on Sky Blue being, 2-1 over Queen Aminata, but
I
no,
would have as well,
apparently
but
not.
I chalk it up to them being besties and Sky probably wanting to put over Aminata. So
Hmm.
um
It's also worth mentioning that in terms of the unofficial hierarchy of AEW shows, they've been slowly working up the ranks. In
yes.
2023, in 2023 they wrestled on Dark. In 2024 they wrestled on Rampage. In 2025 they wrestled on Collision. So next year they're going to be wrestling on Dynamite.
Yep, a year after that, it's going to be pay-per-view main event. So call it that. Call that.
Fuck yeah.
Um, but yeah, this was great. But none of that shit matters. Fuck that shit. Because what happens after that is that fucking Julia and Sky beat the shit out of her, Queen, and then Tekla comes out, and all three of them kick her ass. And I fucking called it weeks ago that all three of these women could be in a fucking stable together. I have no idea what they're gonna call it, and maybe it's not even an official thing. I don't know. I'm totally getting ahead of myself, but it absolutely looked like they were all working together, standing side by side. I know that they said the Sisterhood of Evil, or I think they said something like that a couple weeks ago. Would love that to be the name. I think that's great. Maybe it's a little hat on the hat kind of thing, but I still love it. I don't see a better name jumping out at me. But that wasn't all. Ty J came out, and then Megasis. What is their team name? I can't remember. Bad
Mega bad.
Mega Bad. Thank you. Mega Bad came out. So basically just a preemption for the casino stuff.
And
Anything you want to say about any of
where,
this?
yes, where are my tag team titles, Tony?
Yep.
I know you have them. Where are my testicles, Summer? Um, Sorry, that is a very old reference. But it just struck me as I was saying it. I'm just, where are my tag team titles, Tony? They were here, now they are gone. But this is very obviously um setting up tag team titles. I do appreciate that it's not just tag teams being set up, but also full on women's stables. We need more of those. Um, because I do miss the days. I mean, it's sort of had a bit of a comeback recently, but I do miss the days where AEW was primarily a stable led promotion. Like you would have all these different little stables. I know some of them weren't particularly good. Cough, Nightmare Collective, cough, fuck me. But you would have people like, I don't know, Death Triangle, or you would have the Elite, you'd have the Dark Order, you'd have all these people sort of in stables, and that's how you would have these sort of interfactional uh, rivalries that would go on to pay per view. So if we can get sort of a microcosm of that in the women's division, with Megabad, with the Sisterhood or whatever we want to call them, with Ty J and potentially someone else. If you even wanted to have Ty J team up in a stable with Harley Cameron when she comes back, everyone gets along. That would be, I think that would be really good. Just keep it going, keep this momentum for the women's tag division going, and bring in those belts so they finally have the prize that they deserve.
Last couple things to talk about. Rocky tries to recruit Danny. Everybody fucking wants Danny, I guess. And I mean, I don't blame him, but still, Jesus. I'm hoping he
Mm-hmm.
goes Red Death soon. I'm not sure where he's gonna go. Hopefully not Don Callis family, because Don Callis family has too many people. But
I do just want to put over that people were saying sort of 6 weeks ago, oh, Palace family has like too many people, and he just went, okay, where's Kazuchika Okada? Like,
yeah, yeah.
fair play.
Uh, and then we had the other half of the reason why we're playing. Just letting you know, Adam, you sound a little, I don't know, echoey. Maybe you're further away or something. I don't know.
Oh,
Uh,
my bad. I was getting a bit animated. Am I actually? Is that better?
yes, that's much better.
I must be on my laptop mic and not my headphone mic. That is bizarre.
Yep. Sometimes systems just auto do it. The Battle
Who
of
knows?
Kyles. Look, this was 5 Kyles out of 5, 6.25 Kyles in the Kyle Dome.
We
This
Kyle
is
people.
Kyle forever. You sick Kyle. I don't know. Fucking what else did they say?
We
Um,
Kyle people.
we
We
Kyle
Kyle
people.
people.
We Kyle people. Thank you, Kyle, at the end. Let's go, Kyle, of course. Classic. Look, I
This
don't really
is
want to talk about this
Kyle.
match. I barely watched it because, like, I was into the Kyle dynamics of it all. But this was 5 Kyles out of 5. Excellent match.
Outside of obviously the fans, which is what everyone's going to talk about. This is a really good match because Carl Fletcher and Kyle O'Reilly are two men that sort of have a point to prove. Kyle is Kyle O'Reilly. You have to specify. Um, has been sort of not featured as much. He's been in the Paragon, but certainly as a single star, the focus has been on Adam Cole first. Obviously, he's the champ. Then Roddy, and then very much a distant third on Kyle. So I feel like he went out there against a man who he knows he can have a brilliant match with in Carl Fletcher, because Carl Fletcher has very conspicuously risen up the ranks of the best wrestlers in the world to be you know right up there. So these guys just had a really hard hitting match. Obviously, the crowd were very molten for it, and also the worst people on wrestling Twitter who hate fun wanted to complain about that. And if you're one of them, might I suggest sticking your cock in a hornet's nest? It might bring you the satisfaction that you so desperately deserve.
Oh my god. This is
Um,
an episode for the ages. But yeah, that was our Kyleision. I'm not gonna go over it. I think we have covered it very well. But go watch it. It genuinely was a great match. But I
it
just
really
mostly
was.
want to talk about the fans and their reactions
What
to it.
if I can make a recommendation? Watch it twice. Watch once, to soak in the atmosphere of the crowd and laugh along with the references, and then watch it again just to watch a really good wrestling match.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably what I should do, honestly, because I was too busy with with laughing at all the chants and stuff to really pay attention to the match. But what I did see, I liked, of course. Both these guys are phenomenal pro wrestlers, and yep. Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
All right.
yeah, excellent. I mean, that should wrap us up. We have been talking for over half an hour, over an hour and a half at this point. I'm borderline delirious, but this has
Wait,
been
are
this has
you
been really
booking
fun.
TNA?
No, actually, I'm booking 2025 House of Torture.
Oh
Um,
God, I'm so sorry.
I know. I want to. I absolutely want to die, and it is my intention to bring down the greatest wrestling company in Japanese history with me as well. Watch me do it. Um, I have my thoughts on House of Torture and New Japan in general at the moment, which is grand because I've paid over 130 quid for a ticket to technically a New Japan show. God, I just love life right now.
The scene that it's
Okay.
gonna be when I don't have to watch, I won't have watched the worst fucking AEW pay per view anymore, in the main event with House of Torture versus Death Riders or some shit.
I
Uh,
genuinely think the British crowd would storm the ring.
I think they would
Um,
too. Europeans
oh
don't have
God.
as much tolerance for that shit.
So someone needs to sit Ghetto down before like 6 weeks out from Forbidden Door, which I guess is in 2 weeks, and just say to him, "Look, you need to keep evil in fucking Tokyo, or these people are going to run
Such a
you out
funny
of town."
sentence. You need to keep evil in Tokyo.
No, but like
Uh,
if you let evil board that plane, you will not board the return flight.
I'm just thinking about the cabin in the woods where the schoolgirl says the evil is defeated.
I'm
Uh all right.
fully
Well,
prepared.
I'm gonna let Adam go to sleep, and I gotta go walk my dog. So that
Yes.
she can take care of some business. So
We
yeah. Thanks to
we're
everybody for listening. Adam, anything you want to
yeah.
say?
Oh, only to say that at this point I am so thoroughly wiped that I will probably have this up tomorrow at some point, Sunday. We're recording this on a Saturday, but we'll upload this on a Sunday so you can all shout at me tomorrow. But this has been really fun. It's always fun to talk graps with you. I won't be caught lacking. I still hate your fucking guts, but
There we go. I was waiting for the other shoe
thank.
to drop. I was wait a second. That doesn't sound right.
I know, I'm so delirious. I'm
I
actually,
know. Just blame it on the sleep deprivation. All right. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much to everybody who listened to here and it requested the show to come out, and we will be a little more timely next week. First week of camp kicked my ass. I'm full time for the summer, so it's a bit of a schedule adjustment. But I'm having a great time, and I'm excited and I had a great time here, so I'm excited to do it again next week. And we will talk to you then after, oh my God, Ibushi versus Okada and the 300th episode of Dynamite, respectively. Jesus Christ.
Oh my god. I am preemptively palpitating right now. But yes, I was going to go for something much ruder, but I did manage to self-censor, so points
There
for
you
me.
go.
But yes, this has been really fun. We will see you all again next week for Dynamite 300, as Dory just said. Thank you very much for joining me, Dory. Pleasure as always.
Yep.
And yes, thank you very much for joining us as well. Like, comment, subscribe.
Xena's got a
Do
lot to
all of.
say.
Well, good for her. We always welcome new voices in the channel.
That's right.
Uh, unless you're Henry.
What the fuck? Are you going to leave that in the podcast?
I am going to leave that in the podcast.
Wow.
He doesn't watch. But but yeah, do all of the things. Thank you for joining us, and good night.
Oh my God. Please cut the feed before